What up, Dokkanners? Now that we are 6 days into the 7-year anniversary, we've pretty much sort of separated the two types of players that exist in here. Number one, the new players, the fresh players, the inexperienced players who are still getting used to Dokkan, probably thinking, man, there is so much content out there. You guys are probably still enjoying all of the new stuff, trying to beat various events, earning stones, throwing those stones immediately into the 7-year anniversary banners, and so on and so forth, rinse and repeating. That's probably a lot of you new players. And then there's also the veteran players who have probably finished all of their summons. They're done. They've completed all the events, all of the possible summons that they can do, and they're wondering what's next because they might be a little bit bummed out at the fact that some events have been sort of time gated a little bit. Like, for example, the free-to-plays, the red zones, these events have been sort of blocked off and only certain stages are made available. So when are the next stages of those events going to be available? When is part 2? Today's video is going to be covering exactly that. We're going to be basing this off of the approximate calculations of how things played out on the JP side. So keep that in mind when going over this prediction, or this estimation, I should say. So looking at the JP side, instead of counting from the login, because I couldn't find the exact time on part 2, and I don't know why, the login bonus starts at 4 a.m. on January 29th. I'm not a JP player, so I don't know firsthand. January 29th, 4 a.m. is when their login starts on part 1, but then it doesn't quite translate into part 2. So I didn't really want to take a chance with that, but instead it doesn't really matter because we're looking for days. Like, people are asking how many days until part 1 is over and then part 2 starts. So I instead looked at the co-op campaign because there's going to be one on part 2 as well, and we are still in the middle of the one on part 1. So that's what I did. January 29th at 3 p.m. JST is when the co-op campaign started for JP's part 1, and then for part 2 on February 10th at the same time, the second part's co-op campaign begins. And fun fact, this is the one that I've referred to in the past as the cooperative campaign that also holds that extra rainbow ticket after clearing 50 events. So this is definitely one that people are going to be paying attention to and want to get done. So with that said, JP's start date for part 1's co-op campaign was January 29th at 3 p.m. JST, whereas the part 2 co-op campaign start date was February 10th at 3 p.m. JST. What the heck did I just do? What the heck did I just do? Okay. Days between parts 1 and 2, folks, 12 days. We are officially 6 days into the 7-year anniversary, so if we translate that exact same idea onto the global side, then we have global starting on July 6th at 5 p.m. PDT for me, so that could be a different time for you, whatever time that is for you. And then the part 2 co-op campaign start date would be July 18th, which is 12 days later. So given the point of this video and when it's being released, part 2 starts 6 days from today. Maybe not necessarily at this specific time for you because you might be living in a different time zone, but the point is 6 days from today, we will be getting the start of part 2. Now, what exactly are you going to be getting in part 2? Because a lot of you guys are hoping for more levels on the various stages, but you're not going to be getting all of them. So we're going to quickly go over which stages you're going to be getting in these events. So for Vegeta, we already have 1, 2, and 3. We will be getting the rest of these stages, 4, 5, and 6. You will be able to earn the awakening medals to awaken the free-to-play unit and also possibly awaken its secondary SA5 copy. Then, oh wait, it didn't show all of them here, did it? Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and do this the long way. Let's go to part 1. It's gonna do the same exact thing for the Goku Chi-Chi and for the Gohan, Goten, and Trunks. So let me pull those up. So looking at Goku and Chi-Chi, we have 1, 2, 3. So 4, 5, 6 will be inbound on part 2. So you can finish their complete awakening. However, their easy A will not take place. For Gohan, Trunks, and Goten, same thing. You have 1, 2, 3, which means you have the first medal to get them to the TUR, but then 4, 5, and 6 will get you the final medals that you need to get them to the LR. Now, if you're trying to do this the responsible free-to-play way, you're going to need to farm out quite a bit of these medals. So this alone will keep you pretty occupied for the entirety of part 2, especially when you don't want to be burning stones. This, you're going to need, I think, 30 copies of this medal for each TUR that you awaken to an LR. And if you're trying to do this completely free, you're going to have 3 copies of this unit at the LR level. One at SA10, that's the primary one that could also be rainbowed. The secondary one at SA10 with no hidden potential. And then the third one with an SA5, which means you're going to have to do this a couple of times, which I will be doing on stream when we get to that point. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the live streams. I've been adding a lot of live content to the channel where we do most of the stone breakdown and the theory crafting on these videos. So that is it for the story events. Now let's move on to the juicy stuff that people really care about, the NFL Red Zone. We are getting 2 more stages. That's right, folks, 2 more stages in part 2. If you're wondering why I know this, I will show you why in just a second. We currently have Turles and Lord Slug available, so we will be getting Cooler and Fusion Android 13 in part 2, whereas on the GT side, we'll be getting General Rildo, and there's a lot of perks going on for this guy. And baby, going all the way to the 4th stage here. So let's take a look at why I know this. The ultimate red zone, if we look at the DokkanInfo.com, looking at the JP missions, we can just simply check the time when they started. So for the first part, it starts on January 29th, right? So they got stages 1 and 2. And then for the second part, which started on February 10th, we got stage 3 and stage 4, both of which start at 210. And then after that, we get 222 for the remaining 3. So for those of you wondering if we were going to be getting 3 stages during part 2, that is wrong. We will only be getting 2. The rest of them will be happening during part 3. And same applies for the Movie Heroes version of this as well. Stage 3 and 4 will be happening during part 2, whereas stage 5, 6, and 7 will be happening during part 3. Anything else? Oh yes, the Legendary Goku and Legendary GT Goku and Vegeta events. Same thing applies for these two. We will also be receiving, oh my gosh. We will also be receiving 2 more category missions for each of these. So right now, we currently have only Artificial Life Forms and Target Goku. We will be getting GT Heroes and GT Bosses coming up next. For the Vegeta event, same exact thing. We have Planet Namek Saga and Bond of Master and Disciple, leading into Super Saiyan 2 and Majin Power. How do I know this? Trusty DokkanInfo.com has everything that we need right here. So we've got the 129 time gate for the missions for the first 2 levels, Planet Namek Saga, Master Student Bond. So for Super Saiyan 2 and Majin Buu Power, we also have the February 10th time, which is exactly what part 2 is going to be for global, whereas the final part 3, will have the rest of them. So it's just a similar thing where they're giving us 2 more stages, and then they're going to give us the rest of it at the end. So that is what's going to happen. The final stage will be Planetary Destruction, the final part, excuse me, Battle of Fate, Power Beyond Super Saiyan, and then GT Goku in part 3 will give us Legendary Existence, Sworn Enemies, and Fused Fighters. And there you have it, folks. That is everything that is coming up in part 2. But wait, there's a little bit more. We also have one more thing to discuss. Actually, I have this on my little breakdown here. We've got the Legendary banner for part 2. That's going to be dropping on July 25th at approximately 10 p.m. I am basing this primarily off of the release date of the part 2 banner on the global side last year during the 6-year anniversary. In other words, part 2's Legendary banner drops 13 days from today. That's right. As of me posting this video, we are 6 days into part 1 of the 7-year. After 6 more days are cleared, we will jump into part 2, and then 1 full day after part 2 begins, that is when the Legendary banner will release. And that is also going to be when the thank you tickets will also be made available. You can use these tickets once the part 2 banner actually releases, which means in theory, you wouldn't even have to use any actual stones on this banner. You could possibly pull everything that you want on these Ton of Thanks tickets. If you guys need a guide to how to get every single Ton of Thanks tickets, I will link it in the description down below so you guys can go check it out. Make sure you have every single ticket you could possibly have between now and the end of the 7-year. No patience? Too bad, folks. You're gonna have to wait a little bit longer because we are almost there, halfway through part 1. Just enjoy the content. If you're bored with certain events, if you're bored with the red zone, if you're bored with the Legendary Goku of GT event or the Vegeta event, use different teams, try different things, try free to play. Try doing it with no item. Try doing it with 1 item. Try using only orb changing items. There are so many different ways that you can reinvent the game that there is no such thing as dry. I know I say that sometimes that global is dry, but in all honesty, the point of a gacha game of this type is to use all the different units that you have. So if you've been using the same teams to beat these events, try to mix it up. Try to use different teams. There's more than one way to play these events in Dokkan. But there you have it, folks. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below and let me know in the comments. Are you completely done with every single event of every single game mode in this game? Are you eagerly waiting for part 2? If so, what are you most looking forward to? More red zone stages, Legendary Goku event, or GT or Vegeta event? I always get those mixed up. Legendary GT Goku or Vegeta event stages, or perhaps the part 2 legendary summons. Let me know what and why in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for more dope content in the future and click the notification bell so that you let YouTube know you want to see more of my stuff. Do it! Thanks again. Stay tuned, and always remember to Dokkan responsibly.